Hello again. In this section, we are going to talk about the list, dictionaries, tuple, and sets. We start with the list. Actually, list is the way that we express an array in the Python. In C++, we call it array and enums, but here it is a list. And first, we define, for example, my list, and the number is 1, for example, and it's equal to. In these two brackets, we say 10. 20, 30, 40. And I press Shift and Enter. I call my list 1. And if I press, this is my list 10, 20, 30, and 40. I can reach any of these elements by their index, and the index starts from 0. If I call index 0, it will return 10. If I call index 2, this one is 0, this one is 1, and this one is 2, it will return 30. And we can easily reach all elements of this list just by calling them with their number. I can add other values to this list by using append my list. For if I call it again my list, and I press dot, and if I press that and press tab, I can see all the attributes that I can call here for list. For example, we use pop and append the most. There are methods. If I just call, for example, append, I press tab, then I can complete it. I can add, for example, number 100, and then I call my list again, and I can see that 100 is added to my list, and we can add values to this list like that. I can delete variables from this list by using pop, like that, my list dot pop, and here we enter the index of my elements. For example, if I want to delete number 30, I should add 0, 1, 2. This is the index, and if I should enter 2, and I call my list again, I can see that 30 is not in my list anymore. It is popped up. So this is how we add and delete values from the list. But I can, for example, add some other numbers too. I again call my list and append, for example, 200. And now I want to see all values of this list. This is the values, but now I want to just choose 10, 20, 40, and 100 of my list. I call my list, and here I say choose from 0 to 0. 1, 2, 3. If I enter 3, then it will choose up to but not included the index 3. It means it will only return 10, 20, and 40. If I press enter, I can see that it's only 10, 20, and 40. I can, again, this one, I copy and paste it. I can say choose from the beginning to the third one. It will be exactly the same with this one, but in this case, when it is empty, it means starts from the beginning. If I press shift and enter, this is what it returns. And I can say, for example, from 1 to 4. What would be that? Then this is 0. It starts from 1, index 1, which is 20, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to but not included index 4. So it will only return 20, 40, and 100. I can ask it to return from index 1 to the end. If I don't write anything here, it means to the end, and return everything to the end. This is then 20, 40, 100, and 200. To this list, we can add everything, and we can even change our values. For example, now index 0 is 10. I want to change index 0 to 140, for example. If I press shift and enter and I call it, I can see that the first value, the first index, which is the index is 0, its value has changed to 140, from 10 to 140. I also can add different data types, like here, for example, all the data types are integer. I can add a string like like a name, for example, and then I call my list. I can see that Tim is added to these variables, although this one is string and the others are integers. This is how we add and pop up, and you work with the lists. We can define nested list too. What is nested list? When several lists are in one list. For example, this is the first list, and then here we have 1, 2, 3, and then we have 10, 20, 30, and then we have 100, 200, and 300. Now the dimension has changed. We call this one my list, my nested list, and it's equal to this one. I press Shift and Enter. We call it, and this is our nested list. If I put 0 here, it will return me the whole 1, 2, 3 list. This is because the dimension has changed. Here it was here it is two dimension. The first dimension we choose the list, and then we choose which elements of this list we want. For example, if I want to choose 3, I say my nested list 0 to choose the first list, and then here I choose the second element, then it will return 3. But if I want to, for example, return 100, I should say choose 1, 0, 1, 2, the second list, and from the second list, choose first element. It will return 100. Here we can choose several elements too. For example, I can say my nested list and choose from the beginning to the, we can say, for example, 0 to 2. And if I press Shift and Enter, it returns us the first and second element of our first dimension. I can choose, for example, like that. I can say 0, then it will return only this one. This is how the nested list works. And now we define a tuple. We say my tuple is equal. We use parentheses to define tuples. Like it would be, for example, again 10, 20, and 30. If I call my tuple, then this is what we have here, my tuple. What's the difference between tuple and list? The difference is that the tuples are immutable. It means we cannot change them. Here, I cannot say, I can, for example, say choose the first one, and it will return 10. If I say choose the second element, it will return 30. But if I say choose the third element, 30, and change its value to 115, we would have an error. And it says tuple object does not support item assignment. We cannot change it. This is the main difference between tuple and list. The tuples are immutable and we cannot change them. But the other topics that we covered for list, most of them are valid for tuples too. Now we want to define dictionary. What is a dictionary? Dictionary is actually some keys, which for each keys we have some elements. Let's define one dictionary. It is the first one, so we call it my dictionary 1, and it is in between the curly braces. Then we define our keys. The first key, for example, I call it names and column, and it is a list like Tim, John, and Peter, and then comma. The second key is ages, and again column. It's a list again, and it is, for example, 25, 32, 40. These are the ages, and just for practice, for example, we can name the third key 2, and I call it just a number, and it is equal to one number For example, again, the pi number 3.14. This is how we define a dictionary. I can call it, and if I press shift and enter, then this is our dictionary. It has the first key is names, the second key is ages, and the third key is number. I can choose all the names by just choosing the names key like that, and it will return me the names. If I change it to ages, it will return me the ages. And if I choose only the number, it will return me 3.14. Then I can see all, if I just call it and press that, then I have attributes and methods. For example, I can just write keys and press shift and enter. It just return this one, but because it's a method, if I put two parentheses and then press shift enter, I can see all the keys. The first key is names, the second key is ages, and the third one is names. We can have access to the all keys of the dictionaries, and we can just call the items by calling item method and shift and enter. I can see these are the items, and they are tuples. The first tuple is name and its values, the list, and then the key and the item, and then the number and its item. This is how we work with the dictionaries. We can just easily add items to our dictionaries. For example, we don't have any key named, for example, strings. We can call a key named string, and it is equal to just hello world and how are you. If I call this my dictionary again, I can see that another key named string is added, and its item is this one. Hello world, a list, hello world, and how are you. This is how the list works. We can change them too. And that was all about the dictionaries. Now we talk about set. What is a set? Sets are actually very similar to dictionary. We define them by curly braces, but there is no key for that. For example, I can define my set, and it is equal. We define them with curly braces, but it is 10, 11, 12, and for example, 13. I call my set. This is my set, but set does not accept repetitive values. For example, if I define another set, set 1, and if I say it's equal to 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 4, 6, if I call it and I press shift enter, and now if I call my set, I copy and paste it here and press shift enter, I can see that my set now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we don't have repetitive values here. And we can add values to our set by saying my set 1 dot press tab. This is all attributes and methods that we have. We can, for example, say add some values to our set. We can say add, for example, 10. If I add 10, I will see that it is added. But if I say add another 6, and then I call it, we have only 6 here, and it doesn't add to 6 because, as I mentioned, the sets do not accept any repetitive values. To remove some values from the set, in the list we use pop, but for the set we use remove to remove some values from our set. And we should enter the exact value. In the pop, we say when we enter, for example, 0, it will remove the first element. But here, because there is no zero value in the set, we should have error, and it will say that there is no 0 here. But if I enter 6 here and shift and enter, call it again, we can see that in our set we don't have 6 anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So it's very important that the set does not accept any repetitive values, and to add or remove values or numbers to our sets we should use add and remove, but in the list we use append and pop.